What do international tariffs have to do with your next home purchase? Well, most people never think about it, but tariffs can impact everything from construction costs to mortgage rates, and even whether you can afford the home that you want. In this video, I'll break down exactly how tariffs could influence the real estate market and what you need to watch out for as a buyer, a seller, and also for investors. So what is a tariff? A tariff is a tax on imported goods that could mean lumber, steel, appliances, even the drywall that's used to build homes. So the US, if they put a 25% tariff on Canadian lumber, builders pay more to bring that in, and that cost gets passed down to you, the consumer and the buyer. So how does this affect your wallet? Well, let's talk about home affordability. For the past couple of years, the housing affordability index in Huntsville has been below 100 for really the first time since they've been measuring it, or since I've been selling real estate for almost the last couple of decades. So basically what that means is the median household income cannot afford the median price range home in Huntsville. Now, it's a lot better in Huntsville than other markets, but it is still well below historical averages. So in basic terms, it's getting harder to buy a home in Huntsville and really across the nation. Tariffs could actually help get that number back into the hundreds, improving affordability by lowering construction costs long-term, probably not short-term, but long-term, and also potentially lowering interest rates, which we're already starting to see. This would bring home ownership within reach for more families and help restore some of the balance back to the market. Affordability isn't just about price, it's about monthly payment and what people can afford. And that's really determined by two things. Number one is the cost of the home. Number two is the interest rate on your mortgage if you're borrowing for that home. Right now, tariffs could add $7,500 to $10,000 to the price of a new home. That's according to the National Association of Home Builders. But the good news is that the average home only has about 7% imported materials, and that number could get closer to 0% as this plays out and we bring more of these jobs back to the US. But here's the interesting part. Interest rates are starting to come down as the 10-year treasury falls, which is due to the stock market decline and just overall global uncertainty. I actually had a conversation with a banker today, and they said their chief economist is now predicting that there's going to be 6 Fed interest rate drops this year. And so if that happens, the hypotheticals that I'm going to be talking about here in a minute might actually be even lower. But let's do the math. So let's assume an average home in Huntsville, a $350,000 home, and interest rates like we had maybe just a few weeks ago at 7%. That mortgage payment is going to be about $2,330, principal and interest. Now, if you factor in tariffs, and let's say the National Association of Home Builders is correct and it adds $10,000 to the price of the home, and we go from $350 to $360, and let's say rates come down to 6%, which could actually come down below that if this banker and the economist is right, but let's assume 6%. That takes you to a mortgage payment of $2,160, which is a savings of about $170 a month. That is over $2,000 per year. So that really helps with affordability and helping more people get into a home. So interest rates have a bigger impact on affordability than just price alone. And as rates fall into the high 5s and low 6s and maybe even below that, demand is likely to skyrocket. So here's what that means. Sellers will benefit first as more buyers enter into the marketplace. Then builders will jump back in as construction becomes more profitable with lower borrowing costs and then just not having to throw out so many incentives. And then right now, also, we're sitting at about 4 million homes sold annually nationwide. Compare that to COVID, which is about 6 million. Normally we see about 5 million homes sold. If all of this takes place, we could see home sales north of 8 million homes per year. Sellers, this is a perfect time to see your home values increase. If you're curious about what your home value is worth in this changing market, be sure to check out the home value link that's pinned in the comments below for an instant estimate. Now, if tariffs actually do what they're designed to do, which is a big if, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of risk associated with this plan. But if it does bring back all these manufacturing jobs to the US, there's a lot of upside to this. So number one is more manufacturing jobs, more stable income, more buyers. So that's going to be a great thing for the housing industry. Obviously be great for your average Americans as well, as we have more and more home ownership in the US. And then number two is if tariffs are successful and they're able to eliminate income tax for families earning under $150,000, that means more take-home pay and higher budgets on homes as well, and more people being able to afford their first and even their second home. And then also producing our own building materials, cutting our own timber could lower costs in the long run. So put all this together and we could be looking at a housing boom. There's a lot of millennials and other people that are sitting on the sidelines wanting to get in their first home, a lot of demand sitting on the sidelines. And if we can increase affordability, that could create a housing boom like I just mentioned a minute or so ago, where we could be looking at 8 million or more homes sold annually, which would be record-breaking volume for the US. As interest rates fall, even homeowners that have been kind of locked into lower rates may finally be ready to sell and also move up or downsize. So the bottom line is tariffs are more than just politics. They could shape the future of affordability, demand, and opportunity in the real estate market, helping bring the housing affordability index back above 100, which would open up the doors to more people to own homes, not only here in Huntsville, but across the US. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what do you think about tariffs? Are they going to help or hurt the housing economy long term?